Hello, everybody. This is Coach Aaron Saft on the MR Runningpains podcast, and as you've probably seen, I finished Western States. It wasn't the day that I was hoping for, but thank God I got across the line. I can continue with the Grand Slam, and I am stoked about that. So this is going to be my recap. I'm going to get up with Thomas Brown. Thomas also finished. He finished within the golden hour. Just about an hour behind me. We both were surprised by the course. I'm going to talk about some of my surprises here. But I will have Thomas on to kind of recap that and also kind of preview Vermont, because now we both set our sights on the Vermont 100, which takes place 3 weeks from when we finished Western States. So as you hear this, we're going to be close to 2 weeks away from Vermont, which is crazy to think. But I can say my legs actually feel pretty good. Based on how I felt, I moved slow enough that actually I feel pretty good. So hopefully my rebound time will be pretty quick. But let's start off here. I'm actually recording right next to where we did packet pickup in Olympic Valley. Just wanted to come up here and kind of get one final eye on the place. It is gorgeous. If you've never been out to Olympic Valley, it is a ski resort. It is simply amazing and gorgeous. The slopes are, the views right around you. It's incredible. Just seeing them. Race morning, woke up about 3 a.m. The race starts at 5 a.m., so had some coffee and breakfast and got my gear together. We had the car was packed the night before. We had everything packed and loaded and ready to go. I just had to grab my pack, which was already set to go, do the pre-race rituals and get ourselves over to the starting area. Once we got over the start, we saw some friendly faces, which we had been all week. There's just so many people here, so many great people, and met some tremendously awesome new people as well. So really awesome time, just catching up with some folks I hadn't seen in a long time. So it was incredible, the whole week and lead up, packet pickup, everything. We actually watched the pre-race meeting online, so we could just relax in the place that we rented. So it was a pretty chill day the day before. I didn't want to be on my feet for too long, so woke up feeling pretty fresh, pretty ready to go. My mantra for the day was "I am happy, healthy, and whole," and that was going to be my mantra to get me through. So I was just giving my crew, tons of hugs, and my daughter came over. We let my son sleep, and so we got over here, and we're just so excited by the moment, what was transpiring, about to start. So pretty cool. And so anyway, we got me into the corral, the start corral. And I couldn't see my crew from that point. They got up a little bit on the race course so they could cheer us as we started, and we just waited for the shotgun blast. And as the shotgun blasted, we headed up the escarpment, which is super exciting. 5 a.m. start. It's actually starting to show some signs of daylight out here in this part of the world. So didn't need our headlamps. We just started making our way up. Plan was just to kind of jog and kind of get out of the gates, and then just start hiking all the way up the escarpment, because it's a good climb. I think it's somewhere between 3-4 miles up to the top of they call it Watson's Monument up there. And it was gorgeous. I took some pictures, did some GoPro, just trying to hike it out, not trying to push myself, just really absorbing, the moment that we had finally started Western States, we were underway, trying to control my excitement. People were, running a lot, and like I said, I stuck to my guns and just hiked. We hit snow, maybe a mile or so into the hike up. We started hitting snow and snow fields, which was crazy to hit snow so early. But as we kept getting higher and higher, there was more and more snow, and we were going across more stretches and longer stretches of snow. I started in the Topo Mountain Racer 2s, and just wanted something a little luggier. It was still pretty slick. We started, I think the temps were low 40s, so some of the snow was still pretty icy, pretty solid. But as the sun came up, and we were going up, it started to kind of loosen up a little bit. And, people obviously had been before me, so I was just trying to follow their footsteps because they had kind of broken some of the snow and made it a little bit more better traction. So followed that up. And, once you get to the top, it was just a tunnel of people screaming. And there's people up, cheering all the way up. My coach, Patrick Reagan, and Magdalena Belay were kind of maybe, 3/4 of the way up the climb. And I got to see them. And, it was just a great moment to acknowledge we were here and doing it. So, but yeah, I got to the tunnel. Try not to get too excited by it. And, really hadn't run yet. So once I got to the top and we had a descent, I tried running, and for some reason my legs just did not want to run, which was kind of alarming. I don't know what it was, but they didn't want to pick up. They didn't want to get to pace or move for me. I don't know if it was the snow or elevation, a combination of both, or something that I had done. I really don't know. But that was the theme you'll hear for quite some time. So, we made our way down the first descent, and coming down, we were definitely in the snow still. Lots of different experiences in the snow. I was being very cautious. Obviously, I didn't want to get hurt, so just tried to be observant as to where people were stepping, where the snow was broken, where things were poking through. There were trees that were now being exposed due to the melt-off that hadn't been previously, so there was some branches sticking out and stuff, so had to be really careful up top. Still lots of snow. We went through lots of stretches where it was just, you'd be running for a good 15 minutes through constant snow and sliding, and it was up and down. So you're trying to follow footsteps to get up because people had kind of kicked in the foot, so you made a step for you. So following that, and then you had like a down where it was like a chute where you had to kind of slide on your butt. So you were constantly up and down and sliding every which way, constantly using your stabilizer muscles. So, obviously it was a lot of work, which was crazy. But yeah, I just didn't feel like, I was able to get going. It was just, kind of weird, and I was okay because, I was obviously trying to be conservative and not go too hard, and wanted to feel good, and not use too much energy too early, but at the same time, I had a goal of going sub 24, and the pace I was kind of hitting was not what I needed. But I figured, this is the snow. Let's be patient and see how things go. So our first aid station was about 10 miles in at Lion Ridge. Just kind of dumped my trash, grabbed a swig of water in my reusable cup, thanked the volunteers, and kind of moved on. I wouldn't see my crew until Robinson Flat, which is 30 miles in. So the next aid station at Red Star Ridge, I had a drop bag to kind of resupply there. And by the time I hit Red Star Ridge, I had gone through my 1.5 liter bladder. So, I replenished there. I was using Highlay nutrition, which formerly known as Long Haul, and I refueled there. I was doing Spring Gel and a Goo Roctane. I was alternating those every 35 minutes. And that seemed to be going well. Nutrition was on point at this point, still early in the race. And as we went from Lion Ridge to Red Star Ridge, it was just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Reminded me of the Pacific Northwest, just the environment around me. The trees and the views, just being up on we're in the high country, so you're up on the ridge and just running along and getting to see just tons of views, left and right. It was just so gorgeous. I really enjoyed that, and just had a great time. Looking around. Still snowy, of course, so had to still be cautious, playing it safe. And as I got to Red Star Ridge, I kind of looked at the sign that kind of tells you where you are according to 24-hour pace, and I was already about 35 minutes behind 24-hour pace, which kind of frustrated me, I'll be honest. I was like, because I just knew it wasn't going right. Like, my legs just were not on point that day. For whatever reason, I still haven't figured out what was going on. And, like I said, I think a ton of things could have contributed to it. Being out here with the time change, I didn't sleep well. I kept waking up like it was East Coast time, so I didn't get solid sleep. Nutrition was off. I'll be honest, I wasn't really on point with my nutrition leading up to race day. Kind of just enjoyed myself a little too much with the foods that are around here. But yeah, so I said, all right, well, you gotta do something. You gotta keep moving. So from Red Star, the next aid station was just under 9 miles away at Duncan Canyon, and so I just tried to stay smooth and patient. That was the name of the game all day long. Was just try to stay patient and stay present, stay positive, and that's really what I did. Honestly, I tried not to get frustrated. I tried not to go negative. I just accepted the day for what it was, which was difficult, obviously. But I was prepared to do what I had to do. This was Western States, as I was reminded, constantly by looking around and seeing other runners. It was just evident that this was an amazing experience, and I was trying to absorb that and absorb the positivity from the experience. So when I got into Duncan Canyon, I just grabbed some fruit. I'll be honest, the aid stations kind of surprised me. There wasn't many gluten-free options. For those of you that don't know, I'm not supposed to eat wheat. I have an allergy. I'm not celiac, but I'm not supposed to eat too much wheat. And it was mostly fruit that I could eat, which was okay. But obviously I wanted something with more calories and perhaps some more carbohydrates. And I just couldn't find those options at the aid stations, which was, that was tough. I made it really tough. But thankfully, from Duncan Canyon to Robinson Flat, I had just over 6 miles, or just under 6 miles to Robinson Flat, which was where I'd see my crew. But in that time, I had to go through Duncan Canyon. And up on the ridge, I had kind of passed... I had passed Camille Herron, and she was just struggling in the snow, which was rough. And she talks about that, how she just struggles up there in the snow. And so coming down into Duncan Canyon, I heard her, and she came flying past me. And I said to the gentleman I was running with, Tim, man, I can't wait to see what she does now that she can run. Unfortunately, if you saw, she had a drop, but. It was pretty incredible to watch her come flying by, in Duncan Canyon. So coming up Duncan Canyon, I kind of hit a little bit of a a low. We got to the base of Duncan Canyon. There was a really deep creek crossing. They had a rope to help us across. And I don't know, I just kind of struggled up that climb. Again, just I was trying to be positive and be okay, but it was so early in the race to be struggling as hard as I was. So just, tried to stay within myself. And, I knew I was going to see my crew, which totally excited me and had me motivated to see my kids and my wife and, my friends. I got up there. Robinson Flat was pretty snowy, actually, but that was the last bit of snow that we would see. So I got into Robinson Flat. I told them what was going on. We tried to reload me and get me ready because, this was the tough part. I wouldn't see them again until Michigan Bluff, another 25 miles. So, first crew spot, 30 miles. Second crew spot was at 55 miles. So I had another 25. And then I still couldn't pick up a pacer at Michigan Bluff. I had to wait another 7 miles after that till Forest Hill. So it was really tough, being in that situation, because I'm a very social runner, and I just couldn't seem to find somebody to kind of keep pace with and enjoy company with. Every once in a while I picked up, I mentioned the gentleman Tim, I had met Sam, who it seems like they both did amazing, but I just couldn't find anybody that was kind of, hitting my pace. Like I said, I was slow and I just didn't know why. So anyhow, we resupplied there at Robinson Flat. I gave everybody big hugs and, just really, was like, oh man, I got 25 miles to go, but I tried not to think about it that way. I tried to just think about, okay, let's get ready. 'Cause, now we're going into the canyons. And that's the tough part, right? The canyons, where it can be super hot. Thankfully this year it was the 5th coolest on record for Western States, so it really wasn't too bad. It was hard. I'm not going to say it wasn't hard. The canyons were very tough. They're steep, lots of switchbacks, and it was challenging. It was absolutely challenging. I got through the first canyon and got to Devil's Thumb, and I guess I should start by saying I made my way to Dusty Corners, and again was looking for some food options, and Dusty Corners is typically a crew accessible aid station, but due to the fires and the Forest Service roads that were, they're not really accessible. They had special permissions to get the aid stations in there, but the crews could not get in there. So I got to Dusty Corners, and I just could not find some food to eat, which was just kind of alarming because I had not really had any solid food up until this point, and Dusty Corners is 38 miles in. And again, I'm behind 24-hour pace still, about that 35-40 minutes behind 24-hour pace, and just like not understanding, and now I'm starting to contribute it to the fact that I just didn't have anything to eat, which was tough. So Dusty Corners kind of let us down. We had this really long, awesome descent, but again, I couldn't get a pace going. And then we got to Last Chance, try to fuel up because we had a canyon, went down, and then coming back up, it was just a slow grind. That was kind of the hottest part of the day for me, which brought me up to Devil's Thumb. So Last Chance, again, just, kind of sat down. I grabbed I had a drop bag there, so I grabbed my drop bag and tried to refuel, and I tried to eat a little bit, but it just wasn't going well. My stomach was just like, it didn't want to take in anything, and I think it's just because I hadn't eaten, and the only options they really had was watermelon and potatoes for me. That was the only thing that they had, and the potatoes just did not taste well. They were just boiled potatoes, and I had been eating tons of watermelon. I was just like, it just wasn't happening. And then whatever they filled my bladder with, I poured in the Highlight and just told them, just fill this up with water. Whatever they filled it with, it turned my stomach, and that's where my stomach went real wrong. I started throwing up. I'd never thrown up in a 100-miler. And it was the taste of whatever the water was. I don't know if the cooler was dirty. I don't know if they had something else in the water. I don't know what it was, but it like whatever it did, as soon as the fluid touched my lips, it just came back out. So I was having a really hard time getting stuff down. And of course, from Last Chance to Devil's Thumb, that's a huge canyon. And just coming out of that, I was just wiped. It's a steep climb. And I just didn't have the energy to get through it. And it was everything I had to get up there. So got up to Devil's Thumb. Took a moment, just to kind of to get myself together, collect myself. I dumped out my bladder because obviously it was not working. I told them, if you can just rinse this out and just put water in it, and so they did, which brought me back down, and which was, this was a time where finally my legs started running. There was some guys behind me that kind of latched on, and all of a sudden my legs clicked, and I was able to run like I usually do. So I started running, running down to El Dorado Creek at the base of the canyon. There's an aid station. And I just grabbed some soda down there to see if I could settle my stomach a little bit, just some Coke. Then I began my last ascent up to Michigan Bluff, another big climb. Was feeling okay on the climb. I got up to the top of the canyon, and I saw Amy Rusecki, who is the Vermont 100 race director, and she could tell I was pretty wiped. And so she brought me into kind of the aid station area where all my crew was waiting. My kids had signs. Sorry. Got a little emotional. Just seeing them. It was a beautiful moment. Seeing my son and my daughter. They were so excited to see me, and my wife taking pictures. My friends, Morgan Mercedes and Nathan. Patrick Reagan was there. It's a beautiful memory. Seeing those guys, because I was hurting. I don't know how I stayed positive there. I hadn't eaten, and I felt like trash, but somehow I was positive and smiling, giving hugs and high fives. Victor Ballesteros was there from Victory Sports Designs. He does the drop bags, and was screaming out my name. Appreciate that, Victor. It was just so much positivity there, and I was so relieved to get there. I think, what kept me positive was the fact that I was just looking forward to seeing those guys so much. And having such a rough go at it, it just felt good to be around them and absorb their energy. And I think, if anything, I just needed that. At that point, it was just, a little bit of spiritual refueling. Yeah, I was in a bad way. And I should say that, back the first time I saw them at Robinson Flat, we changed out of the Mountain Racer 2s because my feet were soaked. I had used the Drymax socks, which had done really well. My feet actually held up super well all throughout this race. I used an old sock that they don't make anymore. Unfortunately, it was the Sage Canaday sock. But it worked extremely well for me. So Robinson Flat, I switched out to the Olympus 5s, the Ultra Olympus 5s, and they had carried me really well. And so at Michigan Bluff, I was soaking wet and starting to shiver, and it was getting towards the evening. So we switched out everything. My socks. I stayed in the Olympus, but we switched out my socks. We switched out my shorts. We switched out my shirt. And I was starting to get some cramps just because I had just been subsisting off of water and trying to eat electrolyte tabs, and just didn't have enough, so we were trying to jam some electrolytes into me. They had some chicken quesadillas, and so it was the first time I'd had real food. And now we're talking, I don't know, probably 6 p.m. So 11 hours into the race, and I'm getting my first bit of food in me. So they had my tent set up, so we jumped in there, and my wife kind of massaged out my legs, and we got me all switched out and was starting to shiver. So they knew they had to get me going. So I told them just put element T in my bladder, so at least I got some electrolytes. We didn't have the full aid station supply, all my bags and stuff, because they were saving that for Forest Hill and 7 miles. They had to take a shuttle into Michigan Bluff, so they didn't bring everything. So I didn't have like my Voltaren gel for my legs, or all of my element T. So they only had a few of some stuff that I was carrying on me, so I didn't have much in the bladder, but it was enough. We kind of threw on a long sleeve and a jacket. Thankfully, I had that. I threw a buff on my head, and then I just had to make my way. I knew I had to make my way from Michigan Bluff to Forest Hill, and I'd be picking up Nathan, my first pacer, and one of the best guys on earth. So I had something to look forward to. I knew I was well behind pace now for 24 hours, and then it was a 30 hour was or somewhere between 24 and 30 hour was now the reality, which was fine. It didn't detract, from my race. I felt great that I had seen those guys. Again, I just fed off their energy. Was just extremely looking forward to Forest Hill. They knew I needed some more food in Forest Hill, and that we needed to kind of problem solve what was going on with my stomach. I was able to hold down the quesadilla, thankfully, drank some soda with it, some Coke again, and it seemed to settle my stomach. I think they had some pretzels that I took with me, because I wasn't really doing the gels anymore. Just my stomach was just not holding down anything. So the section from Michigan Bluff to Forest Hill, on my own was it seemed pretty long. I was trying to get to Forest Hill before I needed to turn on my headlamp, and it had some pretty good climbs. The last climb was really long to finally get me up to the street. Some of the pacers showed up where we popped off of the trail, and I was hoping to see my pacer there because they could get to you a little bit early, but he wasn't there. So got up to the street where the Forest Hill aid station is, and I started running down, and then Morgan showed up, which was a great relief to see him, and he kind of ran me into Forest Hill. They had bought some Chinese food, and I had some chicken fried rice, got that down, and again, they kind of just, we started problem solving, and we had my element T, so we put that in my bladder, got that all, situated, got some more pretzels, and then rubbed my legs down with the Voltaren gel like I was talking about. And, they were worried about me not getting enough calories, obviously, so they wanted to try the Highlay again and just see if it was the water that had turned my stomach. And, well, let's test it just to make sure before you go out. And so, I took one sip, and it came right back out. I threw up everything I had just eaten, which was super frustrating. So, glad we tested it. We switched back to Element T, and like I said, just loaded me up with a bag of pretzels. And the springs seemed to be okay. Anything sugary did not go down. Anything sugary, if I tried goo or scratch, chews, anything with glucose was just not settling. And so we tried sticking to those things that were more real food, fructose based. Or pretzels, like I said. Soda seemed to be doing okay. Coke was really the resolution, as I would find out. Not Mountain Dew. So by the time I headed out of Forest Hill, it was dark. So Nathan and I turned on our lights. We could not access the private property trail, which is the traditional course. So they had us running on the road for just over 2 miles. But I got my legs going again. I was able to kind of start running again. And after Forest Hill, I wouldn't see my crew again until, Green Gate. So Forest Hill to Green Gate is about 18 miles-ish. So we had to hit all the Cal Street aid stations, Cal 1, Cal 2, and Cal 3. And so Cal 1 wasn't too far. It was the downhill. I was able to run a bit. Cal 2, it was about 5 miles too, and that was a tough section. It was like, again, legs didn't want to move. I was starting to get sleepy. So we got through Cal 2, but once we got to Cal 3, it was just, I was falling asleep on my feet. So we tried to take like a little 20-minute nap. They had a cot there, but it's loud. It's loud at an aid station. They had cowbells going, and I was falling asleep. I fell asleep for a little bit, got a little bit of a nap. I thought I was going to be okay. Next aid station was Rucky Chucky, where we crossed the river. So I thought I was going to be okay to Rucky Chucky, but we got going on the trail, and it was just, kind of a drop-off to our left, and I was staggering. I was zombie walking all over the place, falling asleep. Nathan was having to grab my arm, keep me on the trail, and he's like, dude, just lay down. You're a danger to yourself right now. And so we took a dirt nap, but runners coming by, they would see us and wake us up like, are you okay? And it was really nice, but everybody kept waking us up, so it was really hard to get any solid sleep. But I think I got a few minutes at least. So woke up and we got moving. I felt a little bit better once I got up and was able to kind of run down to Rucky Chucky. We didn't need anything. There was nobody there at Rucky Chucky, so we just ran through the aid station, got into the raft, took our raft ride across the river, which was pretty cool. Actually, we enjoyed that. That was a fun ride. I enjoyed that with Nathan. And then it was just a climb up to Green Gate, which is just a long dirt road up to Green Gate, which is where, again, we would see my crew and everybody. It was, probably 2 in the morning by that time, and I was staggering again, kind of swaying left and right. Eyes were closing. I found myself walking, quite a few steps with my eyes closed, falling asleep. And Nathan kept trying to wake me up, music, everything. He did everything he could to try to keep me up and moving. We were starting to question whether I was going to be able to finish in the 30-hour cutoff, because I was not in a good way between my stomach and falling asleep. Things were not going right. And so, I knew it was a real concern. As I got into Green Gate, I sat down to kind of resupply with my crew. My wife woke up my daughter just to come say, hey, my son stayed asleep. But they wouldn't let me take a nap. They're like, you got to keep moving if you're going to finish. And Morgan was going to pace me for the next section. And so I was a little bit, questioning whether we made the right decision, because I was still falling asleep. I tried a cup of coffee at the aid station. Again, we tried to put some food in me, whatever we could find. The past few aid stations we had been doing they had some rice with some broth. I told them to go really light on the broth, because I tried to take broth at one and it just came right back up. So I said, go light on the broth, and the rice seemed to stay down. So at least I was getting a little bit of food in me. I really wasn't getting much in between the aid stations though, which, was not good. But, Green Gate to Auburn Lakes Trail aid station was rough. Morgan was having to grab me just like Nathan. I was falling off the trail. I couldn't stay awake. I didn't experience much like this in Bigfoot. I think it was just the calorie deficit, which is what my pacers kept saying is, dude, you got to eat. And then I just I got maybe half a spring gel down, and I'd have to squeak the rest out because I couldn't get any more. It just was, my stomach was turning, which was super tough. But we kept moving forward, and the light was coming. We could see daylight coming, and I was fighting, just to keep moving forward. I tried to jog to keep myself awake, but I would fall asleep jogging, and it was just it was so hard. I don't know why I was struggling so hard with, this whole race. It was, again, I was, and again, I didn't get angry. I couldn't explain it. We've been trying to problem solve all day long, and it's just, nothing was working. It wasn't my day. That's what I had to accept. It was not my day. But as the light came, things changed. As dawn reached, all of a sudden I found myself running, and my legs remembered how to run. It was the first time all race, besides that one stretch around 50 where I was able to run downhill, that I was like, oh, I can run. And I felt my legs turning over. I felt my normal pace. I felt normal again. My stomach started to feel better. And it all came with the dawn. Dawn renewed me. And we ran into the Auburn Lakes Trail Aid Station, and they had breakfast burritos and they had pancakes. And so we grabbed a breakfast burrito and some pancakes and a Coke and just kept going. We really didn't stop. It's at this point I needed to keep moving. I knew, I was fighting to get to the finish line, and I didn't feel stressed or pressure. I just knew I had work to do, and so I ate those things, and I felt renewed. I was running. We ran from Auburn Lakes Trail to Quarry Road, and at Quarry Road. Let me see. I'm trying to remember my aid stations here. Okay, so Quarry Road was the, if you saw on Instagram, Morgan took a picture, or they took a picture of Morgan, Scott Jurek, Hal Corner, and myself. That was Hal Corner's aid station, and it was amazing to see those guys. And it was so funny. Hal didn't recognize me at first, of course, because it had been a long time since I had seen Hal. And then he looked at my bib and he was like, "Oh my God, Aaron, how are you?" So it was nice to see Hal and to catch up with him a little bit. They had some amazing rice balls, which were delicious, but I tried to have them with some Mountain Dew, and everything came right back up. The Mountain Dew did not do me right. So, but again, my stomach wasn't bad. It's just I was, I had to remember what could stay down. So we grabbed a pancake to go, and I ate the pancake. Again, I'm not supposed to have gluten, but at this point I was struggling, and I needed those calories. So we grabbed a pancake to go, and we kept running from Quarry Road to Pointed Rocks. I was running up hills, and Morgan's like, "Oh my God, dude, like I can't believe you're running," and I was feeling good. I knew we'd see again our crew at Pointed Rocks, and I was going to pick up my last Pacer Mercedes. So Morgan and I ran, and we passed a ton of people, just cheering them on, saying, "Come on, come with us," but we were moving really well. It was one of those moments where finally things were clicking, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" I knew that the finish was within reach if I could just keep moving. So we ran, and that it just seems at the end of a race where it seems like you're going so much faster, but the miles pass by so slowly. So I was trying not to look at my watch or pay attention to the miles beeping off, and I just enjoyed running with Mo. We had a great conversation. I was awake. Stomach was okay. It finally felt good. It was so nice. I felt so good. Oh man, and we're running next to the river. Just so many wonderful memories with these guys. Nathan was amazing. I can't thank him enough. That was probably the toughest part of the race was, what Nathan had to go through, keeping me going, because I was in probably, the lowest point physically, between my stomach and how sleepy I was. And, Mo had to tolerate that for a bit, but then, like I said, once the sun hit, I was Aaron again. And so, it was what a tremendous experience, and I can't thank those guys enough. So we got to Pointed Rocks, and Morgan called ahead to Mercedes and told her, hey, have some pancakes ready for Aaron. Have a Coke and we're just going to keep him moving. So I got into Pointed Rocks. Everybody was there. It was such a beautiful aid station. It's just giant meadow. The grass is just beautiful with these awesome groves of trees. It's just, it's just, I can picture it in my mind, and it's what a wonderful place, what a beautiful scenery. And Mercedes was just so excited to pace me. So we grabbed the food. I gave everybody big hugs, told them I loved them, and that I'd see them at Roby Point, the final place where we'd run into the finish together. So Mercedes and I took off. We were running. I was, again, just feeling good, enjoying it, having a great time, being cautious. I didn't want to get hurt at this point. Knew we were coming up to No Hands Bridge, which is an iconic, part of the course that leads you right to the final climb up to Roby Point. We crossed over the bridge and started making our ascent, and down comes Dylan Bowman. And of course, he's legendary, bro. It cracked me up. So Mercedes and I, we continued our climb, and we're getting up. We can hear the people at Roby Point, and just getting excited. Our crew's supposed to meet us there, but we got up there and they weren't quite there yet. But everybody's cheering, and you're just feeling the energy. You're just over a mile from the finish, a mile from finishing Western States. I'm looking at my watch, and I've got plenty of time, and my legs are fine. We climbed up the final hill, and there was my crew, coming down to meet me. Trying not to cry. Man, what a feeling. It was amazing. Oh, just amazing. Just seeing those guys. Man, my wife, my daughter, Mo, and Nathan. My son was going to meet us at the track, and Patrick was there, and the crowd just started chanting my name, which was overwhelming. It just felt so good. And we got up that final hill, and Patrick looked at me and said, "You're about to finish Western States." And it just felt like this wash over of relief and joy. All that I had gone through to get there. I fought hard. I probably fought harder than I had in any 100 to get there. And just so proud. So relieved. I could see it in my kids' eyes how happy they were. They knew what this meant to me. It was truly a moment. So, as we ran down, just people cheering. It was just, what a great experience. I don't think I stopped smiling the whole time. We crossed over the white bridge. You could see the turn into the track. I got onto the track, and there was a photographer, to video you coming around the track, and he follows you the whole time, and he's like, "Please don't sprint." And it was everything I could to hold back, because I just wanted to run hard to the finish. But we just jogged it in, enjoying the moment all together. I had my kids, my wife, we're all jogging together, and their smiles, so precious. It's going to be something I'll remember forever. It was wonderful. The cheers. Hundreds of people were on the track because we're getting close to the golden hour. People just screaming. I could hear my name over the PA. What a way to finish. I've never had a 100-mile finish like that. Not even UTMB. This was amazing. Coming across the line, I kissed the clock. I kissed my hand, and then my hand kissed the clock. And then we had a picture together. And I gave Craig Thornley a huge hug and thanked him for all his hard work and dedication to this event. I gotta collect myself for a second here, sorry. But, I knew I was done. I had finished. And I can move on. I can't tell you what that meant.
because it was questionable for a little while there, and that was hard. I recognized how hard we had fought to get to that finish line, and I couldn't have done it without, Morgan and Nathan and Mercedes. Definitely couldn't have done it without my wife and kids. So Amron, Keegan, Beth, you're amazing. You're my lightning rod. I'm sorry, everybody. It meant the world to me to have them all there and to finish this race with them. I couldn't have been happier. I don't care what the time was. I don't care what color my buckle was. We got it done. They asked me soon after if I would ever do it again, and I don't know. I still have all my tickets because I got in through the raffle, but I don't know if I'd want to do this again. But it was an amazing course. It was an amazing opportunity, and I'm grateful. Especially grateful that I finished, and to be able to finish with my friends and my family, and with all of your support. Good Lord, the outpouring of support, through texts and messages and emails, Facebook, Instagram, Strava. It's just, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. This community is so amazing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I want to thank you all for being a part of it and for, making this so meaningful to me. A new chapter is about to begin. We're closing the chapter on MR Runningpains. I'll be announcing my new rebranding here within the week. I'm going to do a special podcast episode to launch the new brand, something that's more cohesive with who I am and what I do. If you started reading my posts, you can almost guess what it's going to be. I've been closing my posts with it. So, just a little hint at what's to come. But thank you. Thanks for bearing with me and my emotions. You all know I wear my heart on my sleeve. How much this running means to me. How much you all mean to me. I want to thank you for listening, for being a part of this. Again, my biggest thanks to Beth, Keegan, and Amron, to Mo, to Nathan, to Mercedes, to Coach Patrick Regan for all their support and kindness, all their words of encouragement and love. I can't wait for Vermont. We're going to keep moving forward. That's all we know to do. So once again, thank you all for listening. And I can't wait to talk to you next time. But until then, keep running, my friends.